Well, actually nobody really inspired me to do a career in science. It was much rather that I enjoyed science. I just enjoyed the topic, and that was what inspired me. It was trying to understand how things worked. I don't think there were any real barriers. Changing from physics to biology was a challenge. I wouldn't say it was a barrier, it was a challenge. And the main problem was I felt so inadequate. You finish your first degree as a physicist, you end up with a first class and you think, oh, I'm not so bad. And then you go to an institute and you don't understand a word that anybody says. And that was a big challenge at the beginning. Things aren't barriers. You make them in your mind, you make them into bigger things than they are often. I've seen people after interviews who will rationalise perhaps why they didn't get the job, and I will know why they didn't get the job, but they will completely misrationalise. And they might say, oh, it was because I was a woman, or because I wasn't in this clique of people, or whatever it might be. Whereas in fact, it's often a completely different reason. And so I think one has to be very careful about rationalising from your perspective, and it's often very different from other people's perspective. But I've always felt, this is another joy of science, certainly scientific research, that I've never worked for somebody and nobody has ever worked for me. We've always worked together as colleagues, whether it's a student now for my students, or when I was younger, whether it was a professor. We were really equal partners in the game. So as a whole, I like to have something that feels like a family rather than an institute. Maybe that's naive, but that's the way I look at it. I think I sacrificed less than I gained. So yes, it takes time. But as you get older and look back, you realise the things that you've had that other careers don't. The freedom that we have to mentally explore the place that we like to be is spectacular. There's so many advantages, I think, especially for a woman in science, a career in bioinformatics. It's a pretty good option, actually, for a woman in science. And so I would say go for it. It's a wonderful life. It's just spectacular to see the whole of the research field advance, to learn things that you didn't even conceive of when you started as a PhD student, and to see the whole thing develop and to be part of that, even if it's only a small part.